Hey guys, Brad Gilmore here. Want to give a big shout out to our title sponsor, Walker Texas Lawyer. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, whether that be a car, truck, motorcycle accident, or some kind of other issue, hit up Walker Texas Lawyer at 713-552-1117 or walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad, and good morning to you. How are you?
George Lopez joins us right now. George, how are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What lovely to talk to me, funny lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Chloe Bailey joins us. I appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore! So excited to be talking to him right now. Ashley and Brett are joining me right now to talk about McVeigh. How are you guys?
Very well.
Good. How are you?
I'm well. You know what? I really enjoyed the movie. Obviously it's a deep subject matter, a lot going on, a lot of themes to unpack. Ashley, if I could start with you, though, what about this project when you first got the script or heard about it drew you to it? What was it about it that you thought, man, this is a project I'd like to be interested in because this is a story that I'd like to contribute telling?
Well, obviously, it was a huge part of history. And I remember being 5 years old, seeing it on the news. And I was, actually shocked that no one had made a movie about him before. And obviously, the subject matter is very dark. But, when I got the script, I just thought that Mike did a very amazing job at, writing it in the way that it wasn't so offensive, but it was kind of showing a different side of Timothy. And, I think it's important for people to know about this matter. There's a lot of people who don't know who McVeigh is, the younger generation. And I just think it was such a huge part of history, and it was an awful thing that happened. So to be able to be a part of this movie in any way, I really wanted to jump into it, and finding out who else was a part of the cast was so exciting. And I think that Mike is just an amazing director and really put together an amazing film that tells, the story of a horrible person and people.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brett, kind of going off of what Ashley said, was it a similar thing to you that drew you to it and wanting to tell this story?
Yeah, I think it's a really important story to tell. I think it's a precursor to where we are now. I think it's good to educate people on this vast network that exists in our country, of white supremacy, and terrorism, domestic terrorism. And I wanted, it's an incredible opportunity for an actor to play somebody as complicated and as dark as this and humanize them. And I think in humanizing these, and I saw the script, and I knew from watching Mike's work that would, and from talking to Mike, that would be his goal, would be to humanize this. And only in humanizing can we truly understand what the evil comes from. That nobody starts off evil, what drives them to that. And I think that this movie was showing sort of it's sort of a chamber piece showing the everyday interactions of these people as they plan this horrific event. And then knowing that Ashley, Alfie, Anthony, Tracy were all in the movie too was a huge opportunity. And it was a character that, like, I had never gotten to really play before, like both psychologically and physically. There was, you know.
And I am surprised that this particular story hasn't been looked at through the cinematic lens previously, but it really brought up an interesting conversation with the person I watched it with, Ashley, and you just touched on it for a second, Brett, are there evil people or are there people who commit evil acts, right? Not anyone is born strictly evil, but it is an interesting dichotomy to try to explore, which this film does. When you say humanizing, I'd like to get your take on it, Ashley. It's more of providing perspective to the background and the details of who these people were leading up to the event that everybody knows about.
Yeah, I think Brett's touched on this a bit today, but he was even talking about, like social media, things that, everyone sees, and then the bullying that comes with it. And, I just watched the show Adolescence yesterday, which is incredible. And it shows everybody's insecurity and what leads them to do certain things. If it's feeling lonely, if it's feeling, insecure, ugly, whatever it is. Nowadays, bullying is so easy to do because of things like Instagram and, TikTok and comments and all these things. And it can really drive someone to do horrible things because of how bad one thing has made them feel, or if they're lonely, whatever it is. Being isolated and not feeling understood can really make you do horrible things.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Obviously, there's people who are born with like chemical imbalances that can make them more sociopathic or psychopathic. But for the mass majority of people, it's like what Ashley is saying. It's like loneliness leaves a hole, isolation leaves a hole, and you're going to fill that hole in with the loud thing. And that loud thing is oftentimes destructive, whether it's, a gang or, a political radical extremism or drugs. It's part of human nature. And I think, we've gotten into this place of dismissing that too much and stamping a judgment on it, partially out of our own denial that, if our lives would have gone another way, that could be us.
And especially coming off a period of extreme isolationism for a lot of people coming post-pandemic, especially with children being in the house or whatever the case might be, away from, their family, their loved ones, their friends, and having that social media. You've definitely seen a rise in certain types of extremism. And it's very easy to be the propaganda is very easily flown out there on social media. If someone sees a 20-second clip on Instagram, all of a sudden they're an expert on the subject matter. But yeah. I wanted to ask this.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask this specifically regarding tackling actual events and what that means from an artistic standpoint, Ashley. I mean, obviously you want to be true to the story, you want to be true to the details of who these people were and what they did, but also there has to be some, what's the word? There has to be some ability to have some creative takes on the characters and be able to stretch the creative muscle as well, and the artistic muscle. How did you work to balance what was real with what would be better for your approach to the character?
Well, for my character, she was fictional. So that it made it a lot less heavy for me, just being with Alfie and how the darker place that he had to go to in his mind. I just wanted to be able to be prepared every day and kind of go off of his character and, really try and find the chemistry there to a person who's very closed off and misunderstood. And so I think for me, it was just really taking the time to have those quiet moments where we're not talking and we're just kind of looking at each other and figuring each other out, and ultimately, falling for each other and having this connection. And again, her being so unaware of what his motives were during that whole thing. It's, it's a scary thing, because you think that someone, and you find out later that that's not who they were.
And Brett, though, kind of, going off of that, obviously with your character, what was the line that you walked between the factual basis and the artistic approach?
Well, the factual, that's what informs the psychological and the, emotional, the relationships, where the character's at. The factual stuff painted a person to me that was incredibly isolated, and then sort of, was filling in this lack of sense of self with this extreme viewpoint, with this radical viewpoint, and then also this obsession, this complete lack of ability to validate himself and needing it externally. And so, like, needing that in not only McVeigh, but the whole scene that they were a part of, but in particular McVeigh. To him, McVeigh is Marlon Brando. He's Michael Jordan. He's like the cool guy. He's the guy who, like, how many people have been pushed to, you're in the schoolyard as a kid, and the cool guy that you really want to be friends with doesn't like this other guy. And he's like, hit him, and I'll be friends with you. A lot of people make that mistake of hitting that, of joining in with the bully in order to feel bigger in themselves and in order to avoid being bullied. So, like, it's all of those things, and this real need for validation from him as a friend to justify the fact that I'm alive and deserving of love at all. That was really fueling those scenes and fueled the factual information of him needing that so much that he goes to the extent of building a bomb for a terrorist attack.
It's an incredible story, and I can't encourage people enough to watch this and understand what drove these people to do such terrible acts, and to really sit and reflect and think on it. I really found the movie riveting, and I hope everyone checks it out. And I really appreciate y'all's time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. You're great. Thanks.
Y'all have a good one. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.